Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Stop playing with us. Hey, all that DEI goofiness you talking about, man, stop playing. Give us our props. Stop messing with our history. The more you erase, the more we replace. I don't get why they so mad at us. Somebody said, why I got to be black excellence? Why not? Why not? Why can't I show these young black kids, girls, and guys a different side? Perception is everything. Showing these kids a different perception. How great is that? You know what's crazy? When Barack Obama became president, people were like, policy. I said, oh, whatever. You know what he did for me? He changed my perception. Because when I would travel the world had a certain perception of me as a black man. But when they saw, and if there's any indication that America is not the most incredible country in the world, and he came up in there with that suit, fly, you feel me? I felt good, and everybody felt good because they love what we do. I know y'all out there bullshitting right now, but y'all love us. Y'all love our music. And if y'all talking about DEI, then give some of our stuff back, like our R&B. Stop playing with us. Stop singing like us. Stop dancing like us. Give us our shit back. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so what's our new title, Joe?
DEI Doesn't Mean Black.
Ooh, what made you change it?
I felt like the original title, which was DEI hires the reality of white mediocrity in government. I didn't want to specify like on white. Like, I don't want that to be like a thing where they're like, oh, he does this talks about white people and da-da-da-da-da. Because the reality is, as I started to, are we recording? Cool. Because the reality is, as I started to look up what DEI actually was and the history behind it.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with black people, period.
Wow. When
it was founded. And I will definitely get into that because I've been driving myself crazy. Like when I was listening to a conversation about turning yourself off to the news cycle. I think there are a few places that you should subscribe. You should subscribe to your hometown newspaper. Okay. You should subscribe to the New York Times. You should subscribe to the Washington Post. And those are some of the ones that I think that you need to know what's going on in New York. You need to know what's going on in DC, and you need to know what's going on in your hometown.
Okay.
So my Washington Post app blows up all the time.
Really?
And it got to the point where if Donald Trump breathed on a microphone, they were sending notifications through, and I'm opening my phone, I'm reading, I'm trying to keep up with it, and I'm driving myself crazy. I got headaches, and I'm like, do y'all see this? Do you see this? Do you see this? Because I'm like, yo, people are loud, but you're not loud enough. So I had a problem with a few things that I wanted to first discuss. First, my first problem, of course, it starts and it does not end with Elon Musk. So I understand that there was an election that happened, right? And I understand that President Trump was elected as the president of the United States. I accept that he's the president of the United States. I'm not one of those people that ran around talking about he's not my president like y'all did when Barack Obama was president because you were in your feelings. And I would like to first say that all of this is because we had a black president. I'm gonna pinpoint it right to that. And I'm a little peeved at this. Because I feel like if Barack Obama had never been president, we wouldn't be sitting in this situation right now. That the hate that is in the hearts of some people in this nation drove us to this point. And that's why I wholeheartedly said about that. But Elon Musk, even though this was well over a month ago, he set up on the stage behind a podium that says President of the United States, and I don't care what you say, through a Nazi salute. Don't. He was saying my heart goes out to. No, he was. No one does that. No one does that. Elon Musk has before given his heart out to people, and he did this. He put his heart in hands like this, and then put both of his hands out. It's video documented of him doing that. The way you slap your chest and then he threw his hand, I'm not going to do it. The way he slapped his chest and violently threw his hands up, absolutely not. Call an apple and let's call it a day. That's the problem that I have with some of the Trump supporters and some of the political components that are part of this party, of the Republican Party. When you see BS, just call it BS. Mm-hmm. What are y'all afraid of? What do you just say what it is? I don't have a problem with someone supporting Trump. Just when you know it is crap, call it crap. Because a lot of us are our grandparents or your great grandparents or somebody that you know fought against the Nazis in World War II, and now to have that salute being on the highest stage and the highest office in the world, and we gloss over it.
It was very downplayed. So with you bringing that up, how did you feel about then the double standard and the rant? Equally just as offensive, but the double standard when Mr. West, it made his expressive feelings, and then the take was a little bit different.
I saw the level. For one, of course, and when she says Mr. West, we're talking about Kanye West, because Kanye went on a rant on Twitter, which was equally disgusting. And they attributed to, he didn't take his, no. Kanye's been doing this, but for him to go off and say things like that, that was terrible. Now, is there a double standard in it? 100% there's a double standard in it. But Elon's double standard is backed by his skin color because he's accepted in that space. Kanye West is open to criticism because his skin color is open to criticism, because who's going to defend him? Who's going to defend him? He's going to defend himself. He's going to rant on the internet. He's going to get on Twitter. He's going to say things because that's what he does. Even when he went to go and create the merchandise, even though objectively you could take a step back and be like, oh, it says yay, but it's the fact. And of course, I know the history of the swastika, that this was actually a symbol that started over in Africa. You can find it in Ethiopia, attached to Ethiopian Christianity. But the fact that the symbol has been perverted so much because of what the Nazis did in Nazi Germany and Hitler did, that the symbol, you can't get around it. You can't use it. If you see that symbol on somebody, you turn your eye and you look, because it catches you, because that symbol tells you everything you need to know about a person. Every single thing. But the double standard on it is that Kanye can be attacked. Even though he's a billionaire himself, I'm assuming that from what he tells us, he's a billionaire and he has a platform and everything like that. There's no one backing him. He's not a part of a party. He's not in the cabinet with Donald Trump and them. And I'm not even sure what he was trying to get at in doing that. Now, another thing that turned me off to this, I was watching a video, and it's Elon Musk. His son is in the office, and he turns to Donald Trump and he says, "You are not the president. Why are you here? Go away." Now, I look, if I would have told an adult that, I would have got popped in my mouth. And the fact that, I mean, of course, Donald Trump's not reacting to it. Donald Trump's older than him. But the fact that I'm listening to the kid, because to me, I'm like, who is saying that around you? And who are you picking that up from? Because kids repeat what they hear. And no, we looked at the video. I'm tired of the 24-hour news cycle and people caring about it for 72 hours and then it's on to something else. That should, if you were a Trump supporter, if you're a Republican, anyone that cares, that should deeply disturb you. That should deeply disturb you. And it deeply disturbed me because this kid is, I don't know how old. I'm guessing he's no older than 5. And he's saying these things to the sitting president while his father is giving press conferences in the Oval Office. When have we ever seen that happen? Never. There was a video that was released where they were asking who's unhappy with Elon Musk. And someone made the point and said, Elon Musk is running the country because the fact that they were in the room and the president wasn't the first person to speak, to set the tone and the precedence of what the meeting was about, is that's the guy who's running the show right now. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I have to get this off my chest because we're just watching. We're just watching. And I know sometimes it feels like, that's all that we can do is just watch and just hope and pray and try to keep what you can together in your life. But it is a very disheartening thing to see for the president to allow for these things to happen.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Tailored media and events that feed your undiscovered needs, period. The Watts Dome is an energetic hub on Patreon, inviting you to join our creative community. Members can access exclusive content, interviews, including special episodes from our top podcast, It Doesn't Work That Way, by Far the Dopest version, and Everything Hidden. Additionally, subscribers will receive invites to special live events in cities like New York, Atlanta, Miami, Dallas, and Los Angeles, as well as unique tutorials. Nobody does it better than the Watts Podcast Network.
All power and glory go to God. All greatness is from God. When a hero stumbles, the cowards rejoice. Nothing feels better to a coward than to watch a brave guy fall.
Welcome to By Far the Dopest version. Today, we're tackling a topic that's often danced around but rarely confronted head on. And that's the reality of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion hires, and how mediocrity continues to thrive in national government. How is it that underqualified individuals with little to no substantial achievement ascend to high-ranking positions, while more capable, diverse candidates are sidelined? Let's break it all down. Now, DEI to me, it's a buzzword. It's a buzzword now. You saw, I didn't even know, first of all, the fact that Trump wanted to get away with DEI things, and we saw Target start to change things up. We saw companies start to have these discussions about DEI, that in this instance and in this manner, what was going on in the White House, privatized companies started to make changes. And I believe they did that because they don't want to be targets. They want to be on the president's good side. They want to be on the good side of whoever. And I thought the companies were private. I thought they were traded on the stock market in a certain way. So I'm like, who was really in control of these companies if you're changing policies based? Some companies stood their ground. Costco, I'm looking at you. I don't have a membership. I may get one just because of that. Mm-hmm. You saw Target switch up, and Target's a place where I get my deodorant from.
Okay, so you do go to Target?
Not anymore. I had to order online.
Yes, so I stopped going to Target too, but Target was my go-to. And I had to take a stand. And as much as I prefer Target over Walmart, I went to Walmart.
Mm-hmm. I get that. Do you know how hard it was for me to go without deodorant for 3 days?
Oh my gosh, not 3 days.
Well, because I buy in bulk.
Yes.
I buy like 2 or 3 at a time,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, okay, I just go when I'm running low.
Yeah.
And I ran out right when they were doing that. I was like, I can't go and do it. So now I got to order online, and I got to wait for the shipping to get there, and that's how it went. But it was disgusting, and I was like, okay, what is wrong with diversity? What is wrong with equity and inclusion? That's how you become a well-rounded society.
Correct.
You allow the experiences of diverse individuals to help mold and shape, and you know what to do and what not to do. And to me, that's what makes a company better, and that's what makes a nation better. But did you know that DEI extends way back to 1865, post-Civil War?
Educate us.
So in 1865, there was a precedent set out, and they wanted to hire veterans from the war. That was a key factor. And I'm not talking about the black men that served in the Union. I'm not talking about black men that served in the Confederacy. They were hiring white soldiers. DEI is shaped from 1865 and again in 1876, again in 1921, again in 1929. And then in 1944, we got the Veteran Preference Act. All of these things were setups to hire veterans. That is where it started at, after they would return from war, to make sure that they had work to go to. The protections extended into wives and spouses and mothers, but that is a deeper rabbit hole that I implore you that you go on. So DEI first in its inception was to protect white men, to allow them to have something to come back to.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting.
And then I'm reviewing here. In 1866, President Andrew Johnson vetoed legislation to enforce those amendments, arguing that it discriminated against white people. And pressure from white Southerners led to the closure of the Freedmen's Bureau just 7 years after it had been established. Nearly a century later, Black Americans were still battling racism and discrimination. Now, what a through line.
That brings me to almost 100 years later.
Okay.
It's almost 100 years later, March 6, 1961, when John F. Kennedy signed the Affirmative Action Act. Affirmative action is something that they tie solely to African Americans, the black people. In order for us to get a job or to be accepted in a school, it's an affirmative action hire or an affirmative action acceptance. But that is not the case when 100 years prior that it was set up to allow white veterans a space to be able to work.
So if I am looking at this correctly, you're telling me that our non-people of color are misinterpreting the original intent of D&I, and even people of color are misinterpreting the original intent of D&I, because I did not realize this beautiful fact that you just laid out before us, that it did not start with us. So they're basically dismantling a program that was meant to benefit them, but that could be they're dismantling it now because it's not benefiting them in the same way. I don't know which one is it.
I think it's a blending of both. I think a lot of, and this is where I got to go back, I think a lot of what Trump is trying to do and roll back is trying to get things back to their original intent in a certain aspect. So I've heard conversations. First of all, I want to say this. I'm still a respecter of people's pronouns. So if you tell me your pronoun is something, I'm gonna call you that, because I'm gonna respect you, and that's what you asked me to do. Like, he rolled back the LGBTQIA. Now it's just LGB. He said the QIA plus that doesn't add on. That's not what that's for. And going back to
this is what Trump said.
This is what Trump said. This is what he's done.
Okay.
So he's cut off the end of that. But what I think a lot of it is he's rolling back the protections to the original intent. What it seems like, but it's like, okay, where does it stop?
Right.
Where does it stop? And I don't think it stops where it benefits anyone that is not, and I'm not even going to say necessarily looks like him, that doesn't have the same pocket as him. Because while I am talking about race from this standpoint because that's what the general public focuses on, I'm slowly shifting my mind to realize that this is a class thing, and that we are very much a society in which your capital gain is very significant to the way your life is shaped and what benefits you receive. So the framework that seeks to promote the fair treatment and full participation of all people, particularly in groups that have historically been underrepresented or subject to discrimination based on identity or disability, is what DEI is associated with now. Of course, we saw it went from the soldiers during the Civil War, soldiers in World War II, which that's another story, because even the black soldiers who came home, we hear about the GI Bill. We heard that white soldiers got home loans and were able to get certain things. If you haven't seen, there's a film or a show, I think it's called, is it called Them? I think it's called Them, but they went into the history of redlining, the history of black homeowners, even though black homeowners were paid on time, that they had significant amount of capital, they were given way higher interest rates that would bury them in the house for 30 to 50 years in paying it off, as opposed to their white counterparts. So it's one of those things where you need to go back to the history of it and see exactly what it is and stop associating. DEI does not mean black.
Say it again.
DEI does not mean black.
And can I ask if it did? Let's say it did. What would be so wrong with that?
What would be wrong with that? Why is it such a bad thing for black people to be able to have nice things and prosper?
Right.
We don't mess with anyone. I haven't had any malice in my heart towards anyone. Mm-hmm. All I've focused on from the point of understanding of the history of my people is wanting peace and being able to walk down the street unabated and not have to fear for your lives. That seems like a very simple ask.
Yes.
A very simple ask that's not appeased. And the fact that you even have to ask for that is disgusting. 100% disgusting. The fact that you have to ask for that is disgusting.
Right. In a perfect world,
mm-hmm.
what should D&I look like?
In a perfect world,
not taking the program. Of course, we want peace, harmony, love, and all those beautiful things. But in a perfect world, if we have D&I in place, and let's say the Trump administration just happens to listen to this show, mm-hmm. and what can we share with them for solution based? What should DE&I look like? I mean, how should it operate, function?
For me, DEI looks like diversity amongst government officials, a government of the people, truly of the people. I don't know how many. Well, actually, I think there are 3 or 4 minorities in his cabinet. You got Kush Patel, then you have a couple of other people like Herschel Walker, the ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago. I'm like, what even is that? So to me, it really looks like a government of the people for the people. So it's black and brown Republicans in there with you as well. Republicans who are Mexican, Republicans who are black, Republicans who are Jewish. That is what it truly looks like, not just everyone looking like you. Because when everyone looks like you, what can you create? This nation has too many ethnic groups for one certain ethnic group to have the House, the Senate, and the presidential office, and for no one else to be represented. For no one else to be represented. So to me, that's what DEI would look like in government.
I agree. And then can we do a special plug?
Please.
So I don't know, how do we get back Schoolhouse Rock? Oh. How do we get back, the education mm-hmm. component of really teaching why it's important to get involved in our local government? The future is behind us. Your son is the future.
Right.
He could literally be the future president.
Mm-hmm.
And are we preparing young people, especially young minority people, to fit the D&I perspective? Are we preparing them to be really interested in politics and government,
right,
and what we got to do collectively to make the world better? It's sad, but where's our modern day MLK? Where is and you know, he wasn't necessarily running for office. You know, his was very social and on the ground, but where are they? I don't see enough of it. And so I just implore parents listening to this episode, or even young teenagers listening to this episode, that you really tap into government. We need you in these spaces.
Thank you for listening to By Far the Dopest Version. This podcast is sponsored by Frame of Reference. The series explores the vulnerable and often hectic lives of a close group knit of friends and provides a truthful evaluation of how fear and past misfortunes can define our present point of view. You can stream season 1 of Frame of Reference on the Roku channel, Tubi TV, or Prime Video. I want to give a quick shout out to Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is from Dallas, from Dallas. Yes. She is holding it down. It's so motivating as a Black man to see that. It's someone who I've mentioned to my son. Judah's got such a sweetheart. He actually mentioned, he's like, you know, I want to be president. He was like, I'll get everybody to get on. I said, oh, you got such a good heart. You got such a good heart, son. And I don't want to taint his heart to be like, well, you know, it's easier than done. It's easier said than done, and quote unquote, you know, it doesn't work that way sometimes, you know, and it's something that you would like. Schoolhouse Rock, yes. And getting them to be interested in it is something that we don't do. Right. I'm a PBS guy.
Me too. I am so PBS, and I'm so NPR. It's not even funny.
They are, to me, the two best.
I agree.
Like, if NPR is unbiased.
Yes.
To me, they report what they report. PBS, I donate every single month.
I love that.
I feel like PBS is a station owned by the public.
Yeah. And
Trump had announced trying to cut funding from PBS. And I was like, whoa. And so I implore you, if you don't donate to any cause, donate to PBS, donate to NPR. They send me my tax stuff at the end of the year. Just give money to sources that continually pour out and provide information. Every now and then I donate money to Wikipedia because it's such an open source of information. You don't want that privatized. You don't want that to be gone, because that information, and to the teachers out there to say Wikipedia is not a source, you're right, Wikipedia is not a source, but next to the information, there are numbers that you can click on that'll take you to where they source the information from, for my students out there. Donate to causes like that, because you need public radio, you need public broadcasting, because a lot of the public broadcasting is what brought things forward into minority households and started to teach them. Schoolhouse Rock, Sesame Street. These are the things that we need to be paying attention to and giving our money to. So we're not having to combat against a major government and with them threatening to take away public broadcasting.
Yeah.
It's for the people. You know, we're talking about DEI and people being underqualified. There are some specific examples in the government and major industries where underqualified individuals are promoted over qualified candidates of color. If the fact is, if it was fair in the first place, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't need these rules. We wouldn't, you know, it reminds me of Troy Maxson in Fences.
Okay.
What Troy wanted to do? He wanted to drive the truck. But the truck was reserved for the white man only. Like, he was like, oh, Troy could drive.
Right.
He was qualified for the job to be able to drive.
Yeah.
But his skin color kept him on the outside of the truck, picking the trash up off the curb, because that was his job.
The reality. Yeah.
So in situations like that, that driver could have had 3 or 4 DWIs, but because of his complexion, he gets the job instead of Troy Maxson.
Which is really just, when you sit and just digest that, it's insane.
It's insane.
I seen a clip of Barack Obama, and he just expressed it so eloquently. He said, oh, when you find out who's at the table and you're like, oh, you're here? Like, really, you? And it's not to, you know, make anyone feel less than, but it's like you're this inadequate for, you know, in regards to knowledge or education or just skills or experience. And it's amazing who they allow to get into these positions. And it's just based off these different variables. But I think Michelle Emberock said it so well. She was like, oh, when I learned like who was really at the table, and it's like, oh, it really is a game, you know? Yeah.
And that's for it to be a game, and for you to not even sometimes get a piece, or when you get a piece, like liken it to Monopoly, you finally get your piece on the board, but they already got Park Place. You know, when you slam on Park Place and they got like 4 hotels on that bad boy, you might as well cash out. It's over. It's over in the game, but people still fight, and that's what we need. We need to still fight. I know there's been a lot of talk, a lot of solidarity amongst certain groups being quiet about certain things.
Yes.
But I'm watching to see, okay, well, what is the next move? What are they going to do? Because it's not going to stop where we think it stops at. It's going to continue along.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't.
But you just said something just like is there a specific
African Americans?
Okay.
For me, and I've been following right along with it.
Yeah.
And the women said they're tired.
Of facts.
And I wholeheartedly understand.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly understand that you can't fight every single fight. You can't continue to tell people this, and this is about to happen, or this, and this is who they are.
Right.
And no one listens to you, and then they go and do it, and they're like, well, where you at? No.
Right. I think when the new sitting president came in, he was very clear and distinctive about everything that he was going to put into place. And he executed it like a quick pace, especially regarding deportation. And then I seen a video or a clip, I think on TikTok, and it was a Latin individual, a male. He was like, where is all the Black Lives Matter, people? Where are you guys at? Why aren't you in the streets? Why aren't you, where are y'all? Where are y'all? And I seen a young man, and they actually took his clip down, but it was this young Black man, and he was so passionate, and he just expressed his frustration. And he said, all this time we have been trying to tell y'all, join us, come over here with us, be with us. We know as African Americans, we know this well. Let's band together. Let's come together. And he said, y'all ignored us. Y'all sided with white supremacy. And, you guys did all that. And he was like, we warned y'all. And now y'all want us to stand up. So it's interesting how when I think people kind of took the sitting president's action as bluff. I don't think they really thought that he was going to be this aggressive, this assertive, this serious, this swift. And they might have said, oh, yeah, every president kind of makes these, outside promises. But I think the sitting president is being very adamant and very clear, like, I'm moving on this. And then because you're feeling the heat, now.
And I know that we like to, he's keeping his word. And what can you say about a man that keeps his word?
Not too much.
Not too much.
Yeah.
So as much as it pains, as much as those words are detrimental to certain groups in this country, it's like he's keeping his word to his base. He's going through with what he said that he was going to do. And he has a group of people around him that for whichever reason, whether they really believe in what they're doing, sometimes, honestly, I don't believe everybody that he has around him believes in what they're doing. I think they're just trying to position just in case.
Wow.
I hope you can't tell me everybody in that room agrees with what you're doing. They're just so afraid to speak up because they don't know what's going to happen to them. Right. They don't, or they have an insight of what is about to happen, and I need to protect my family.
If it's okay, can I share this?
Please do.
So I think what anyone that's listening to this episode, I really want us to really understand as a nation that the sitting president can only sit in that seat twice 4 years. That's not the most concerning seat in this nation that we should be concerned about. It's really the Supreme Court. That's a forever seat. They have to die
out of it.
and so out of that position. So this is why, back to the Schoolhouse Rock, this is back to being educated, back to understanding like what's really happening on the local level and the federal level. And if anything, the sitting president is telling me this. I have never been so engaged and making myself knowledgeable of everything he's doing like this sitting president. I'm like, I'm paying attention. I was like, oh, he's done what now? Okay, now what's going on? Like, what's happening? And I'll give him credit for this. He said a promise made is a promise kept. And even if all his promises do not come to fruition, one thing they're not going to be able to say to this man is that you didn't try. He going to say, look, I tried. I kept my word. And so for whoever is coming up for the next election, let this be, if anything, I'm hoping that they taking notes. Like, take notes. Like, this is what the people are looking for, action, period.
100%. And it would be foolish of me not to say this, because I do look at things with a lens. People will assume automatically that I'm a Democrat by the way that I talk and things like that. You can assume that if you want. But one thing that I did recognize from the Democrats is that they did isolate the white male base. And I have to say that. In what way? In their beliefs and the structure of what they had going on, nearly over 75% of white males, I believe, voted Republican. You're not speaking to the white male, and the divide. First of all, you told me that my community was so divided when majority of my community voted in the same direction. Wow. So my community, and I think that's one thing we have to do is we have to stop perpetuating that stereotype and speaking it out loud that we can't do anything together. That's a lie. That's a whole lie. That is, you did it so well together that they bombed your communities.
Wow.
No, throw that out the window. We got to throw that thought and us saying that out loud. Got to get that gone. But Democrats did, they have gotten away from the traditional white American male. And how do you grab him from a Democratic side? Call me. Call me if you want some ideas, or you really you want to talk about how to pull the base back around. Give me a call. Let's talk it out. Let's figure it. Let's go talk to the conservative white male and see what he's thinking. Of course, we know how he's voting, but what is he thinking now? Because I've been seeing a lot of videos come out with white males and they're like, I regret voting for Trump. I regret this. I regret this. And it's like, okay, well, what do we do within the next 4 years? How do we, or even not even 4 years, 2 years? How do we flip to help you out?
Is there a perfect president?
There will never be a perfect president.
What are we really regretting?
I think to me, I think people vote. This is how I feel. If Donald Trump was to continue with his deportations, which they said Barack Obama was deporting people like crazy, so I'm gonna give you that he had way more deportations than Donald Trump. So I'm not gonna sit up here and act like Barack Obama didn't do that. Yeah. I would honestly think that if Donald Trump found a way tomorrow to put $10,000 in everybody's bank account, no one would say a thing. I think it's money. If eggs, first of all, my eggs was already $12. What eggs y'all buying? No, let me chill. First of all, I think if eggs were to go down to $2 tomorrow and whatever else and whatnot, if people were, I tend to find people will be quiet if they have money in their pocket. I'm like, oh, I'm fine.
Okay.
I like, and it's a sort of cognitive dissonance away from everything. Like, oh.
There's a lot of truth to that, because when I think about the pandemic and the stimulus check, was it $1,200?
That was the one-time thing, and then people were getting an extra like $500 or $600 on their, because if you were, I don't want to say unemployed, but okay. But yeah, if you were receiving unemployment, you got an extra $500-$600 on top of that.
Now just think about this. I'm a business owner, and so $1,200 is like $12 to me. Mm-hmm. Facts. I'm just not even Just it's just business. Like I'm spending that in a week, just doing business. So you're right to your point. Like if the money is coming, even look at how the nation reacted over $1,200. So, it's funny how we just, comfort kind of makes that.
It makes you be like, oh, it's not happening to me. It's fine. And I liken that $1,200. You can look at that when that was during the pandemic. You was looking at people lining up at Popeyes for a chicken sandwich. Come on. Like, what are we? That
was the infamous. Do you remember that?
I remember seeing lines where I was like, I ain't never seen a line wrapped around Popeyes. Like, this guys, it's Popeyes. Like, come on now.
Do you remember? That was a time.
They were fighting over chicken sandwiches.
This is hilarious. Just thinking about it because you brought it up, but everyone was losing their mind over these Popeyes chicken sandwiches. I remember.
And to think it's only been 5 years.
Wow.
But it seems like it was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
But it's only been 5 years. But the backlash against DEI programs has created a very false narrative that qualified individuals of color are taking jobs from better candidates. Sometimes the better candidate just happens to be of a different ethnic background. Everybody, the best people aren't always going to look like you. That's the truth. And that's the beauty of it. Because if everybody was the same, then where would we be? Where would we be, honestly? So there's a couple of things I want you to take away from this episode. I know I at the top of the episode, I was really, these things like sit inside of me and they stew. And I'm like, yo, what are we looking at? What are we, like, to the point where I still have the Washington Post app on my phone, but I have to go out of my way because I get notifications and I'm used to hitting them because I want to read like what is going on. I had to take a step away because it was affecting my mental health. And I'm like, yo, I'm trying to like you alluded to earlier, paying attention to everything more so. Biden, they told me Biden wasn't, I'm like, what did he do? Because I wasn't paying attention. I was not paying attention to what he did. I'm like, okay, well, he was bad. What did he do? And that's where I was. But now I'm looking at every single little thing and I'm like, yo, from the firings of the FFA to the plane crashes, like, oh my goodness. And then I had to take a step away from that. I'm like, oh, you know why we're seeing more plane crashes? Because we've heightened our attention on what is going on there. So far, I think, if I'm right, so far this year, we're still at less plane crashes than we had last year at this time under a Biden administration. But it's being magnified now. Like, the planes are crashing. So now it's like, oh, it's happening a lot. When the truth is, there's still a lower percentage of you dying in a plane crash. It's like lower than 2%. So it's just a heightened state of awareness. But as we wrap up, this is the final exhibit. These are the 3 takeaways I need from you. True equity requires accountability. The system does not change unless we demand it. I'm in a text message group with people and they're like, where are our doctors? Where are our lawyers? And part of me, I watch them and I'm just like, well, what are you doing to become a doctor and a lawyer? Like, you have to, if you want to look for the black poets, the black doctors, the black this, the black that, go be that. Don't stop looking for someone else to do it. Someone made reference to, like, if you hungry, there's 2 types of people. Someone that's going to wait for you to go to the kitchen and make something, or someone that's going to get up and go to the kitchen. I implore you, if you're waiting for black lawyers and black doctors, to take your butt back to school and become just that in what you are looking for. 2, meritocracy is a myth without opportunity. If the playing field isn't level, the game is rigged. 100%. I think everybody starts off in Monopoly with $200 and that start. But if you start off with 6 and then I'm just now on the board with my 2, I think actually everybody go grab Monopoly. 2 people start off with $600, like they've been back around twice. And then you start playing the game after they've been around twice and tell me how that goes for you. And number 3, DEI should not be a scapegoat. Diversity efforts are not the problem. Systematic favoritism is. What? Let me say that again. Diversity efforts are not the problem. Systematic favoritism is. Yo, I gave you a lot today. I gave you a lot of my heart, a lot of how I feel. I want to encourage the listeners to challenge power structures within their own industries. climb higher, continue to work hard. You got to work twice as hard to be half as good. I know. Hey. Continue to go forward. Don't allow it to discourage you. There are still people out here that are fighting alongside you, even though they may not be vocal about it. So here's a few things I need from you on top of that. I need you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I want you to go to wattsproductions.com/podcast. I need you to hit that email button for your boy, all right? Hit that email button. Let me know what you think about DEI. Let me know how things are going in your workforce, and tell me some worries that you may have. Maybe we could talk about some things, and I would be interested in answering any questions here on air. Of course, you are always on your way to becoming by far the dopest version. It's been my pleasure to bring this to you. Peace.